welcome to West Country Wanderings, and a big welcome to my monthly vlog for the month of March 2022. Where are we today? Well, today I've decided to come to the wonderful county of Warwickshire. Last month I was in Ross-on-Wye in Herefordshire. Previous to that I've done Minty and Wiltshire, and also went down to Yetminster in Dorset, but this is the first time that I've covered Warwickshire on my monthly vlogs. I have been to Warwickshire a few times before on my channel. Certainly went to Courton Court. We've also been to Charleycote Park and a couple of other places, but certainly the first time we've covered this on the monthly vlog. Anyway, enough of that. If this is the first time you've been here on my monthly vlogs, just to briefly, before I tell you where I am, briefly tell you what the format of this video will be today. The purpose of my monthly vlog is to tell you what's been happening on West Country Wanderings, what's been happening over the last month or so, in case you've missed any of the videos or you want to know a little bit more background about some of the videos made. Also to show you or tell you what's coming up for the month of April on my channel on West Country Wanderings. I also show you around the village here. Where are we in a minute? And also there's usually some historical artifacts to that, and more of that. It's really exciting actually where I am today. So without further ado, I can announce I'm actually in the village of Wootton Wawen, and behind me stands the oldest church in Warwickshire. It's actually a Saxon church, and I'll tell you more about that, and we'll do some photographs inside that in a bit. Not only do we have the oldest church in Warwickshire here, but we also have an aqueduct for it, and a railway station, a canal, and a river, and a beautiful village to boot. So why not join me for a West Country Wanderings for March vlog? Here we go. So where is Wootton Wawen in compared to the rest of Warwickshire and some other bigger places you'll probably be familiar with? Well, first of all, to tell you that Wootton Wawen is about 20 miles south of the city of Birmingham. Birmingham, of course, is slap bang in the middle of England. Of course, that's my kind of northern perimeter. I do everything to the south and west of Birmingham and Oxford, if you're familiar with my channel. We're also about 2 miles south of the town of Henley in Arden. That's somewhere I've not visited on the channel, and certainly that will be one that will appear at some future point. I may nip over there later today to do a recce on it. I've never actually been there before. And we're also about 6 miles to the north of Stratford-on-Avon, that very famous Warwickshire town, of course famous from William Shakespeare. And we're also about an equal number of miles away from the Roman town of Alcester, which has definitely featured on my channel previously. So that's roughly where we are. We also lie in the valley of the River Alne. Now, the River Alne starts at a place called Pink Green in Worcestershire, only a little hamlet there, and it flows south until it meets the River Arrow, shall I say, at Alcester. And after it meets the River Arrow then also travels south, and it meets the River Avon at Salford Priors. And of course the River Avon goes from Stratford direction down to meet the River Severn at Tewkesbury. Now, you're probably thinking that Wootton Wawen is quite an unusual name for a village. Indeed it is. I'll just explain where the name comes from. Wootton Wawen, the name, means the farm near the wood, and the wood belonging to the family or the name Wagen. Now, Wagen is a very, very old English Norse name, so we're going back way back into time there, but it's a really, really interesting origin of the village. Now, the oldest surviving record of Wootton Wawen is from King Athelbed, put the name in below, around 723 AD. And that was the time the first church was built here, just around this site here, Wootton Wawen. And that was a wooden church, but that sadly burnt down. Now, the reason for the burning of the church isn't exactly known, but around that time, the Vikings came and ransacked and destroyed a lot of the village. So it was quite probable that it was destroyed by the Vikings. In fact, the present church was built between 970 and 1040. And we'll go and have a look at the church in more detail. King Charles II came to Wootton Waughan around 1645 after the Battle of Worcester. The city of Worcester is about 20 miles to the southwest of where I am currently. And he fled to here, so you won't be surprised to know a regular theme on my channel, that the Monarch Way, yay, which appears regularly as a feature. I haven't done it as a trail because it's just too long. It was 625 miles, something like that. Again, I'll put the stats for that. And of course, the Monarch Way follows the escape route, if you like, of King Charles as he fled from the Battle of Worcester. It goes round all over the place: Warwickshire, Worcestershire, Gloucestershire, Somerset, Dorset, well into the southeastern Sussex, so areas which aren't even in the area that I cover on my channel, but it does cover. Well, we will actually come across the Monarch Way because it does follow the towpath when we cover the canal bit of this video later on. Now behind me is Wootton Hall, built in 1687 in the Palladian style. Absolutely stunning building. I'll do a little bit more shots on that so you can see a bit clearly, and then insert them round about now. However, by the end of the Second World War, it was in a very, very dilapidated state. I think they had troops were stationed there, but it fell into disrepair. It hadn't been maintained until the 19th century, so I think the roof was starting to go on it. And it could have ended up being demolished or burnt or heaven knows. But it was rescued by a gentleman called Bill Allen. Now, Bill Allen, strangely, was big in the caravan world. He owned caravan parks and sites. And what he did was he had the money to buy this, what was then a dilapidated building, plus the land around it. And he parceled off part of that land and built a mobile home, well, like a village, which is just literally just off the cemetery here where I'm standing at the moment. And that generated money from the sale of those properties. And because he had income in from that, he then had the capital to completely restore this magnificent building and all of the parkland and gardens around it. I believe now it's used as like a business and conference centre, but yeah, it's fantastic to see it in the condition that it is now. So well done, Bill, top work. Now, Wootton Waughan has always been an agricultural, rural community. There is a busier road that runs through it, the main road. It's at the A46, which we left at Alcester as I was coming up in this direction today. But other than that, it's a pretty quiet place. In fact, there were mills here mentioned in the Domesday Book, and there was also a paper mill. I think it ran from the 19th century and it closed in the latter part of the 20th century. And I will do a tour of the village shortly. So I've now walked about a half a mile outside of the village, or from the church. I had a tour of the church. I hope you enjoyed the photographs there. This is the River Alne that I mentioned at the start of the video. As I say, we're in the valley of the River Alne. I'll just include a photograph now because the Alne through the village used to take a different course, and you can make out one of those oxbow lakes and a dry section from probably your O-level geography, GCSE, whatever you took. Yeah, so it took a different course around the village, and you can make out where it used to go. But yeah, this is definitely the River Alne. As I say, it flows into the Arrow at Alcester. One thing I discovered when I was looking around the church, they have actually got a really, really good Saxon exhibition around the side there next to the altar. It's fantastic, full of history. I won't give you all the history. If you're really interested in this place, you really need to come and explore it for yourselves if you can. It's fantastic. Saxon architecture. One thing much more recent than that, on the 31st of August 1997, that was a memorial date both in this village and as a nation in terms of the UK and wider than that as well, for reasons I'll explain. Now, the congregation here actually went to the church service on that day. They came out, and literally within a few minutes of them coming out, the church tower was struck by lightning and it damaged the tower quite severely. And it took them a few years to raise the funds to get the tower repaired. And as you've seen from the photographs I've done of the church, it is all as it should be now. But what makes that remarkable is that an hour or two after the tower was struck by lightning was Princess Diana sadly lost her life in Paris in the car crash, which obviously we all know about. I'm not necessarily one that believes in coincidences like that, but it did happen. It happened here at Wootton Waln in Warwickshire. So what's been happening in the world of West Country wanderings then? Well, the first video I did after I made the last month's vlog, which was at Ross and Wye in Herefordshire. In fact, I had trouble making that video because it was extremely windy. I think it was the tail end of Storm Eunice, and I started to film that monthly vlog in the park high above the town, and I showed you the floodplain and the fact that the floodplain was completely underwater and the tripod was doing this. It was very windy, and you probably could hear the wind over the microphone, and even though I had my dead cat on it and all that stuff, it wasn't great. So apologies for that video in terms of the trouble I had with the weather. Couldn't ask for a better day today. Complete transformation from last month's vlog. Just beautiful here by the river. It's quiet and got the place to myself. It's wonderful. The first video I made was at Lassington Wood, and I also did the first introduction to the Herefordshire and Gloucestershire Canal. I did a bit of a story to when I was filming that. I wasn't sure how much the canal to include. It wasn't actually a canal series one, if you see what I mean. It wasn't like a focus on the canal. It was a walk up to Lassington Wood to see what the snowdrops were like. That was my initial thought. And when I was walking there with my camera gear and tripod and everything, I just got into the wood, and this chap from the local village said to me, had I seen the snowdrops over at the church? Because he saw me obviously with my camera. I said that I hadn't, and he said they're spectacular. And he said, he looked puzzled, and he said, excuse me, you do YouTube videos? And of course he had recognised me from West Country Wandering, and that's the fourth time that's happened in as many weeks. Also happened recently in the post office as well. It's really, really strange. I didn't realise that my videos were getting viewed that much, and it also happened at up on the Malvern Hills the other day when I did that video, more of which in a bit. But anyway, I digress. Lassington Wood, we saw the snowdrops there. And as I say, that was my first introduction to the Herefordshire and Gloucestershire Canal, because of course that was the section at Overworth there, almost where it joins the River Severn, and we had a look at that section there. So that was the first video I did after the monthly vlog last month. Now, because that video on the Herefordshire and Gloucestershire Canal, well, as I say, it wasn't, but it was, if you kind of thing, because it seemed to be popular. Normally with my views, if it's just like a walking one, say for example the Malvern one I did the other day, it usually ends up around 150, 170, 200, maybe a bit more views. That's kind of an average one for me. If I do a railway one, it could get up to 500-600 views, and if I do a canal one, particularly the updates, it can be anything between 500, and I think the top one now is 5,500, which is like crazy for my channel really. But so the canals obviously are proving really popular, and hence why I'm including some canal content in this vlog today, more of which in a bit. There will be more stuff coming from the Herefordshire and Gloucestershire Canal. In fact, I'm going to do a whole series. I'm now up to number 3, more on that in a sec. So I decided to do section 2, so I was focusing on the restored sections of it. And obviously the grand plan is to open up the Herefordshire and Gloucestershire Canal completely. It's a hugely ambitious target. They don't have the resources or the recognition or the publicity or indeed the lottery money that the Thames and Severn Stroudwater does, which obviously has been a big feature on my channel recently. But they are doing a lot of work in behind the scenes, and they have done these small little sections. I saw the first one we saw was at Over as a part of that video I've just mentioned. I then went to a place called Oxenhall, where the lock there has been completely restored. Got that delightful cottage there, and also they restored the aqueduct. So we'll be seeing another aqueduct shortly. And I thought that was absolutely terrific. I did try and find the front entrance to Oxenhall Tunnel, but the ground was just awful. I just got completely bogged down on the towpath, so that was the end of the video. But again, that had proved to be popular, so that's why I've decided to do a series on Herefordshire and Gloucestershire, mainly because there's very, very little on YouTube about it. Now, talking of series on my channel, I am doing a Cotswold Walk series as well, and the next video after the H&G Part 1 was the Cotswold Walks Part 2, and this was memorial for a different reason, because I actually fell over twice. I was walking around the River Evenlode, and I arrived at Kingham, wasn't it? And I told you a little bit about the railway there, and say we'll be a bit about the railway in a bit as well on here. But I did that, and I started the walk, and it was beautiful from the village, Bleddington, that's the name of the village. We looked at the village square there, we set off. And I say we, I mean me, because there was nobody else with me. I set off with tripod and everything, boots and camera equipment all in tow. Walking across the fields. Now, the guy who wrote the book, the Colin Handy, said it might be a bit muddy. Well, that was a complete understatement, because it was horrendous. There were sections there where the tow path was just completely bogged down. I had to try and find a route to get around it. And I got to the bit where it meets the main path. I can't remember the trail. It joins a main national trail. And you think, oh, it'll be better then because it's a more known path. It actually got worse. Great big ruts where tractors have been through, like mud banks this high, and I was like walking through that, and I thought, oh, I better not slip up, because I've got camera equipment with me. Just as I had that thought, yep, you guessed it. Thankfully, all the camera equipment was fine, and I didn't break anything, but just goes to show everything doesn't always go to plan. But hopefully the video of that walk is reasonably enjoyable, if I probably wasn't myself for the rest of the walk. But some beautiful Cotswold villages there. There will be more Cotswold walk content. In fact, I've done another one which I'll mention in a sec, but there'll be more of those coming up in April as well. The next video I did earlier this month, I was going to say last month, no, we're still in March, only a few days left. But yeah, the next one was a short bite. I hadn't done a short bite for a little time. If you're new to my channel, short bites are usually videos which are between 5, 10, maybe up to 12 minutes long, and I just go to a location, certain location. It could be anything. Could be a railway. Could be they're usually villages. Could be a church, and they might be video clips. They tend to be with little commentary. There's not that much me doing vlogging, as it were, with me doing face-to-face sort of thing. It's more about what my camera sees, and sometimes it could be video, sometimes it's photos, sometimes it's ambient sound, sometimes with music. Well, I'd actually gone to a place called Castle Carey in Somerset. At this point, I'd just like to say an apology, because I haven't actually done that much content from Somerset. One of the difficulties with Somerset, from where I live, is although you think, oh, Somerset is obviously in the West Country, and it is in between Devon and Cornwall, where I do go, as you know, and Gloucestershire and Worcestershire, which I cover a bit more frequently because I live up more this way. And you think, oh, it's easy to get through it, but the really interesting parts, which are away from the M5, because you've got that flat Somerset plain level there, that tends to be a bit more kind of industrial along that motorway corridor. The interesting bit isn't there, and to get to the interesting bits is a bit more tricky. Anyway, what I decided to do was go there on the train, and I decided on a location called Castle Carey, and it is right next to the railway station. Well, I say right next to, it's about a mile's walk, but beautiful town. And I just walked around the town with my camera and took some photographs. Had a great afternoon there, and well, that was the result, really, the photographs that I took of that town. If you're ever in Somerset or near Castle Carey, I can highly recommend the video there. I'd love to know your thoughts on that type of format. It seems to be reasonably well received. I know they're not going to be as much viewed as my canal update ones, or indeed a railway one. I do appreciate that. Or just one other side about that video. You're probably thinking, well, he arrived by train, but there's no shots of the railway station or the train. And there's a reason for that. Is when I left the station, when I arrived, they were doing lots of building work there. There was a lot of noise. It was very, very windy. And also, I think they were replacing the footbridge, so it made filming impossible. I was going to hope to do some photographs just before I caught my train, but I left it a bit tight. I had very little time between when I walked back from the town to get to the railway station. And I would like to have featured it, because it is a delightful country. What was a Great Western Railway, well, it obviously still is GWR, but not the same GWR, if you see what I mean. It's another franchise, GWR. But yeah, it's a delightful spot, and it is a wonderful station. So apologies for not including content at the station there, but I hope you enjoyed that little video of Castle Carey. So what happened next was I did another canal update. Yeah, we got to number 7 on the Thames and Severn Stroudwater. I won't go into much detail because I know most of you probably already seen it, but just to let you know, it was about the Cotswold Water Park, the plans for marina there. Also, we had a look at the roundhouse at Coates and a quick update at the ocean. Just a quick mention is that there will be an update number 8. Of course there'll be an update number 8. I'm waiting for them to complete the towpath at Stonehouse, where they obviously did that ocean bridge over the Christmas New Year period. As soon as that opens, or a few days after, there'll be a shot of me walking through it. I'll show you that all reopened again, and then also I will show you some other sections on the TNS and Stroudwater as well, so that'll be coming soon. After that, I did a railway short bite at a place called Barclay, which is almost on the border between Gloucestershire and the other county, South Gloucestershire. And we had a look at the side there where they're trying to rebuild the railway station, and there are also plans to reopen it as a line. Now, we looked at the depot there, which is still an open freight terminal with Network Rail. It's on a branch line which originally went all the way down to Sharpness and across the Severn Bridge, the railway bridge that is, not the 2 motorway bridges, into the Forest of Dean. Now obviously that's gone, but there is a freight section down to that bit there. They're trying to open it on there down into Sharpness docks as well. We had a look at the side there, had a look at the freight terminal as well, and also to let you know, I will be doing a bit of the railway stuff around Sharpness docks at some point, so that'll be a feature on my railway series on my channel, and that'll probably be coming up not too distant future. After that, I did a third Cotswold River walk. We actually did a circular walk. It was a shorter one around the River Isbourne, one of the lesser known Cotswold rivers in the Cotswolds. Of course, it's near the delightful town of Winchcombe, and I took some photographs around that beautiful town there in the Cotswolds, and then I went a bit further south into the county of Wiltshire, and I did another railway one, a railway series one on the Swindon and Cricklade Railway, and we had a railway ride there, didn't we, on the train, and I did some footage which seemed to come out quite well of the station there. I've forgotten the name of the station, the northern one. Obviously they're trying to reopen to the Thames side town of Cricklade, but they've got the detail correct, spot on with the platforms there, all the luggage and the racks and the bikes and the posters, that kind of thing. I thought it looked really, really good. I really enjoyed my day out there on the Swindon and Cricklade Railway. And to bring up speed, there was 2 more I'd done this month. There's one on the H&G, when we were looking again just north of Oxenhole, the other side of the M50. I was trying to find the entrance to that canal tunnel. We also looked at the Dimmock Pool, which has obviously been completely restored. That looks spectacular, and again I seemed to hit a good day's weather with that, so that seemed to work out really well. The only sad thing with that was that I couldn't find the portal of the tunnel there, but because it's just in a deep ravine, and they've had landslides there as well, and you can't follow it from where the towpath would have originally been. So I'm going to try again from the other end, so I'm not giving up on that. But it was made up for the fact the stunning daffodils in the wood there was just breathtaking. I just loved that location. It is just really, really good, amazing location there. And just to bring up to speed, the last one I've done on my channel might have been another one that's landed by the time you're seeing this, but I'll include that in the next month. But yeah, the last one I did was the Malvern Hills. I went to the southern part of the Malvern Hills, and instead of going up to Worcestershire Beacon this time, I made my way up to Herefordshire Beacon and British Camp. What a fantastic day that was. The views there from the top were amazing. I just told you a little bit about the basic bit of history about British Camp there, and we had some views of that obelisk as well, didn't we, in Eastern Obelisk. But wow, that was amazing. I mean, that was March, and what I'm going to do now is I'll go over to the aqueduct, the railway station, and then I'll tell you about what's coming up in April, a little bit of personal stuff as well, so stick with me. See you in a bit. Now at Wootton Walwyn railway station, double track here. We're on the line between Bearley Junction and Stratford-on-Avon, so line that goes in one direction to Stratford. I think Stratford's down that way, and Birmingham Snow Hill is that way. This station actually opened as Wootton Platform back in 1908, so well, 114 years ago. Maths, yeah, there we go. And now I'm not sure, at some point it was obviously just called Wootton Walwyn, so it lost its halt status. It's now a station here. I think trains are about every hour in direction of Birmingham and Stourbridge, down into Stratford-on-Avon. It's marketed as the Shakespeare line, pretty self-explanatory as to why that might be. And the other thing to tell you about it, it has been under threat of closure a couple of times, first in 1969 and again in 1984, as recent as that. Thankfully it saved those they wanted to close it all the way, although there would have still been a line left in Stratford. The line splits. I'll do a little plan so you can see what I'm talking about. The spur from Beerley Junction down this bit to Stratford was under threat of closure, and that's the bit that goes through Henley and Arden. But thankfully it's been retained, and obviously they're always building houses everywhere. They're trying to encourage property developers, when they build a new unit, new development anywhere which connects up to this line, they are trying to get them to invest money into line to improve the track, the platforms, the services, that sort of thing. It's fingers crossed that they do that to take traffic off our roads, our very, very congested roads. But it's a wonderful station, absolutely love it. There's no one here. The only trouble with it, there is no car park. I struggle to find how you get into the station. There is no footbridge either. To get to that platform, you have to go all the way down to the end of this platform, down onto the main road underneath the railway bridge and back up the other side. But if you know where you're going, you probably won't need to do that anyway. But yeah, it's wonderful. Warren Station, a delight. Now, just to let you know, I couldn't actually come here by train today. Well, I could have done. I did come on the dreaded car, sad to report. Actually, I could have arrived here by train. The trouble is, well, Dr. Beeching, basically. There used to be a line which went directly from Gloucester up to Cheltenham Spa. In fact, it diverged off before the current Cheltenham Spa station, to Honeybourne, which is obviously still a station, across to Stratford. So you go directly from Gloucester to Stratford-on-Avon, and then it would have been a short distance, 6 miles from Stratford-on-Avon to here at Wootton Warren. That would have been an easy journey on the train. Sadly, no more. What I'd have to do is get the train to Gloucester, probably then to Cheltenham up to Birmingham New Street, walk across Birmingham, across to Snow Hill and Moore Street, get the train down here, which is obviously quite a faff, a lot longer. So it would have taken probably 2.5, 3 hours to get here by train, whereas it's an hour and a quarter maximum by car. It's a shame that, but hopefully one day that line will reopen. Obviously, part of that line is now the Preserve line, the GWR, the Gloucestershire Warwickshire Railway, which goes from the Cheltenham Racecourse station right up through where we were the other day at Winchcombe, right up to Broadway currently, and they're hoping to, of course, to open it to Honeybourne on the Cotswold line between Oxford and Worcester. But yeah, it'd be great to see that completely reopened again, so you could catch trains up this way. So Stratford is great if you want to come down from the Birmingham direction. It's more difficult to get to Stratford from any other direction, including London, because you have to go, if you get a train up from London, I believe there are through services, Chiltern Railways run through services. It has to kind of go up and kind of back down into Stratford, because those lines no longer exist, sadly. So we're now on the Stratford-on-Avon Canal, which, as the name implies, it links the town of Stratford. As we said, that's about 6 miles to the south of here, with the River Avon, and they link it up. So obviously the River Avon is navigable once it gets to that point. I can't remember the exact point it links with the River Avon. It's somewhere near Evesham. I'm sure it's around that area. I'll put that in below, the exact place where it links up, but delightful spot here. The Stratford-on-Avon Canal is one of the lesser used and lesser known canals on the canal network. It is Canal and River Trust. It is fully open, fully navigable. Wonderful little wharf stroke marina here by the aqueducts. We'll go and have a look at the aqueduct opened in 1813. There are 3 aqueducts on the Stratford-on-Avon Canal, and they're all very, very unusual, because the towpath runs at the same level as the bottom of the canal bed. Yeah, you heard that right. You're going to have to see this to believe it when we get there in a bit. Extraordinary sight. So yeah, I know I've been teasing you with this, but it's wonderful here. We've just got a winding hole there, and insert a photograph of that. And we have one of these unusual bridges, which are, yeah, as far as I'm aware, unique to the Stratford-on-Avon Canal. Originally, there was a groove. There was 2 wooden planks lifting up like that, and a groove that, so they didn't quite meet up, the 2 wooden bits, and that was to enable the rope that linked the horses pulling the barges along the towpath, so they didn't have to unhook them and rehook them when they were going through the bridges. They could literally walk around, and then that will still be connected to the barge as it went through the canal. Brilliant system. Beautiful little bridges here on the Stratford-on-Avon Canal. Now, while I'm at this wonderful spot here on the towpath next to the banks of the Stratford-on-Avon Canal, as I say, the aforementioned winding hole is behind me. Just wanted to bring you up to date with what's happening on my channel in the month of April. And of course, there's going to be another canal update. Of course there is. Number 8, which will be on the, not this one, but on the Thames and Severn and Stroudwater Canal. and that'll be when the Ocean Bridge reopens and I'll be able to walk through the towpath there. So I'm really looking forward to that. That won't be the entire video. That'd be pretty boring if it was. It's exciting, obviously, that it's reopening, but there'll be more content. Going to be continuing the journey eastwards from where I left off last time at the Roundhouse of Coats. We're going to continue down there to look at the locks and where it joined up with the North Wiltshire Canal. So that's coming up then. There's going to be another Cotswold River Walks one, number 4. Probably featuring the River Colne, so maybe in the area of Fairford, probably somewhere around there. So have a look out for that one. There's certainly going to be some railway content as well as the Sharpness Docks, which I mentioned. I'm also going to be looking at doing one of the major preserved railways, and that's something that you probably think has been neglected on my channels thus far, and you'd be very correct on that. And it's probably either likely to be the Severn Valley Railway, appropriately enough, or the Gloucestershire-Warwickshire Railway, which I've already mentioned. So probably one of those two. When they get up into steam days, I'll probably go midweek when it's a bit quieter. We'll pick a day when there's the children still at school, so there's not many people running around. I know that's good for their business, but it's not great. It's great for filming. So I'll try and do a couple of those. If not those two, it may be the Dean Forest Railway over in Forest of Dean. Speaking of Forest of Dean, which there will be some content coming up from the Forest of Dean as well. Now, the Severn Way. I am doing the Severn Way. You probably think I've forgotten all about that. No, I haven't. One of the main reasons I've been looking for, although we have got good weather at the moment, I've been waiting for the muddy sections, and the Severn did flood, particularly around the Bewdley area early this year, only back in January, maybe into early February. And of course, a lot of the area just outside the river is very, very wet, including, of course, the footpath that runs alongside it for its entire length. And I'm waiting for that to dry up before I can start the walk. And as I said, I'll be booking myself up into Wales for week 10 days. I know my channel doesn't normally cover Wales, but for the purposes of continuity, to cover the entire length of the River Severn, you do need to cover the sections of Wales. I've got nothing against Wales. It's just that other people cover Wales really, really well, and I've got enough to cover the larger West Country area that I cover. Devon, Cornwall, Gloucester, Worcestershire, Somerset, Dorset, and all other bits in between. So I'll leave that to other people, but I will need to be doing that to do the first bit of the River Severn, so that's still coming up. So yeah, quite a bit coming up on the channel. There will be some other short bites, probably featuring railways and also churches. I've already done one featuring a church. I won't tell you more about that, but it'll be landing probably in a couple of days. A very exciting church in the Cotswolds in Gloucestershire, so that'll be happening soon as well. What else do we have? I know I've got some bits I've missed out here. Oh yes, of course. I'm revisiting my woodland garden. I did a visit back in early February. Didn't do anything into it in March, so we're going to be looking at a later part of spring, so probably mid towards the end of April, be going back to that woodland again then to see what the latest is for springtime there. During the course of March, some things I've been finding quite difficult, although it appears that I can be quite confident in front of the camera, and obviously the more you do that kind of thing, the more at ease it is. I mean, when I first started doing YouTube, I was really, really nervous. I think I mentioned this before. I won't go into details about when I started YouTube. But I have actually struggled through this month with my mental health. Despite all appearances, you're probably thinking everything's been okay. One video I particularly found really, really difficult, and perhaps in hindsight, when I mention this now, you may think about that, was when I did the Cotswold Walk one. That was Cotswold Walks number 3. I did the River Isborne at Winchcombe. Now, when I was doing that video, I was forgetting my words. I couldn't remember the name of the river at some point. I couldn't remember where, although I'd researched it before, I couldn't remember where it started or where it ended. I think I said it ended up in the River Thames at one point, which obviously is complete rubbish. And I was struggling with my mental health, and I have been throughout a lot of this month, although I'm feeling a little bit better today doing this monthly vlog for you. There have been videos when I really haven't been up to doing pieces to camera. In fact, sometimes that's why I just do the short bites when I just do the photographs, because I find that easier sometimes, and my mental health just isn't there to do that. And it does really, depression, anxiety really, really phases my concentration at the time. It causes my memory to completely go to pot, which is unbearably frustrating. It's not a sign of dementia, it's actually because it does go up and down. My memory can be absolutely fine. I think it's okay today. Hopefully I'm coming across okay today, but there are other days I really struggle with it. There are millions like me, I know. It's not just something because I have autism that it affects me more. That is true, but obviously going through the pandemic over the past couple of years, and obviously we've got war going on, a lot of people are struggling economically as well, with the cost of living shooting up. So there's a lot going on people's minds at the moment, and I certainly have not been immune to that during this past month, and it has been very difficult. So if you are also going through a tough time with your mental health, you have my full support and sympathies, because I know exactly what you're going through. It is extraordinarily difficult trying to battle depression. Some days you just do not want to get out of bed. It's not a question of laziness. Your mind just cannot focus. You just not have the cognitive abilities to even think about getting a shower and getting dressed. Sometimes it is really difficult. Other days I can do it no trouble at all, but then there's other bits I struggle with, and when I get to sometimes the late afternoon, my brain is just completely zapped, and I can barely put one leg in front of another. So let alone put there I go. See, let alone put no, I'm fine. Put one word in front of another. So it just makes it very difficult. Just to let you know that, it has been a difficult month, and I say I'm sure I'm not alone. I'm sure there's people watching me now that have also been going through difficult times. The best thing we can do is this. This is why I love canals, because they're just such therapeutic places. We've got the nature around. You're probably hearing birds song now. I'm here in Warwickshire. Beautiful. Sorry, apart from the shooting over there in that field. Apart from that, just made me jump. Coming to places like this is the best antidote. Of course, we've got the good weather, the spring weather as well now, which makes things easier as well. But the other thing you can do is talk to people, talk to your family and friends. There's also support online through the Samaritans. If you don't have anybody you can contact as well. I am on Twitter, and there's been 4 people over this year that I know of that has also suffered mental health, that have suddenly lost their lives through suicide, and I just wish they reached out a bit more. I didn't know them personally, they're not that close to me, but they were in the mental health community on Twitter and mental health support community, and it is really shocking when that does happen. And if you are struggling like I have been, then please reach out. Now we're going to have a look at that aqueduct. So this is the Wootton Wawn Aqueduct, one of 3 on the Stratford Canal, and it was erected by the Stratford Canal Company in 1813 by one W. Whitmore. Not sure what the W. Whitmore, not sure if he was a William or a Wallace or a Walton, but yeah. Also we had Bernard Hughes and W. James, who were both the chairman of the canal. Do a close-up of that plaque there so you can see that as well. I've just done a walk through one way, just going to do a walk through back the other way. It's one of 3 on the Stratford-on-Avon Canal, very unique with that towpath running level with the bottom of the canal bed. Extraordinary sight as you walk across it over the road. Before I close for today on my March vlog, before I just wrap up, I'd just like to do some big thank yous. Firstly, thank you if you're a new subscriber, if you subscribed between my last vlog back in February and this one. So if you've subscribed to me over the last 4 or 5 weeks, really appreciate that. So thank you very much. You're most welcome around here in West Country Wanderings. I hope there's something that you're going to find interesting. As I say, I cover a great range of different things. I say a lot of people subscribe to me just for the canal content, and if you do that, that's absolutely fine, no problem with that, and there will be updates and more canal content coming, like there is bits today, of course. Here we are at the aqueduct to Wootton Moor on the Stratford-on-Avon canal, of course. But yeah, if you're here just for canal content, that's absolutely fine. You might be here, of course, just for the railway content, and of course that's equally fine. Be more stuff on that coming up soon. And you might be here just for the walks around the Cotswolds and around Devon and Cornwall and other areas I do, like the Malverns, and that's equally fine. Of course, there'll be content on that coming soon. You may be here for all of that, in which case absolutely fantastic, and all the history and all the other stuff that I do. So that's great. So if you're new subscriber, you're most welcome. So you may not be familiar with some of the other stuff I do. Now I'll just do a clip. There is a trailer telling you a little bit more about my channel and a little bit about me as well. If you haven't looked at that, it's worth having a quick look. It's only about 3 minutes long, 2 or 3 minutes long. I have broken the channel down on the main page on YouTube into sections. So there's a section on railways, of course, one on canals, of course. There's one on Cotswold Way. It's now been changed to say all the Cotswold Way videos there, plus a Cotswold Walk. There will be a new one doing the 7-way, new playlist for that. There's also a playlist for the counties of Cornwall, a separate one for Devon, another separate one for Gloucestershire, and then there's one for, well, pretty much all the other counties that I cover, which is obviously rather a lot, including here today in Warwickshire. So thanks for that. Thank you if you've also commented on my channel over the past month as well. I've had the number of comments on my videos seems to be going up somewhat, and I do apologise if I don't get back to you straight away. I do try to reply to all comments within about 72 hours, because I may be out on doing content, creating content, of course. Finally, just to mention you people that regularly comment, I'm not going to go through the whole list. You know who you are. A particular mention to Roy from Roy Edwards, Ron from Parkinson's Walks, Debs from Deb's Most Excellent Adventures, Stephen Yan from Stephen Marner, Eminem's Adventures. There's so many more, so many of you. John Pritchard. Some brilliant comments from you as well, so I really appreciate that, and thanks to all my fellow YouTube and creators there. Good luck with it all. I know it's hard work, can be hard work, so I enjoy doing it. I find it helps my mental health. I do struggle with it, like I've spoken about earlier in this video, but I do find it helps out getting out and about as well. Some other YouTubers have been reporting a reduction in the number of views overall. I think this is probably hitting people that are have high numbers of viewers. One of the reasons I understand this perhaps to do with the war, people perhaps not looking at YouTube so much, or perhaps just looking at news content on YouTube, and also the mainstream media on the TV, of the listen to radio about what's happening in horrible things that are happening in Ukraine. Let's just hope there is some sense there soon, and peace resumes again, because it is obviously horrible. I'm not going to mention any more about it than that, and I've obviously thoughts with all those people affected in Ukraine and elsewhere. But yeah, so the view numbers are going down. I haven't been affected by that, but if you are, just stick around. I'm sure everything will work out, and I know there is more competition on YouTube. As I say, I enjoy it. I don't consider it a competitive sport. I just enjoy what I do. Anyway, thanks for watching today. I hope you enjoyed March's vlog here in this wonderful village of Wootton Moor in Warwickshire. We will be back in Warwickshire, most definitely. I'm going to head over now to not in the video, not in this one, perhaps at a future point, to Henley in Arden. Not been to Henley. Well, I did kind of once on the train, long time ago. Long story. Many years, but I haven't visited it properly. But I'm just going to have a look at Henley in Arden, and that will probably be featuring on a future video here on West Country Wanderings. But until then, take care of yourselves, look after yourselves, and I hope to see you all on West Country Wanderings again very soon. Cheers now. Goodbye.